Okay, so welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Matt, and I'm the host of this podcast. Thank you for joining this podcast. I really appreciate it, and this is my first time recording, and this is a virtual podcast. If you're listening or watching this on YouTube, or maybe Spotify, or whatever you're watching or listening, either way, it helps the show a lot, and I really appreciate it. And So I just want to just thank you, and I hope you enjoy this journey of this podcast. We're going to be doing for a while, and see how it turns out. Hopefully, will be a big um, success, and who knows? So we'll see and what goes. So, anyways, so I wanted to talk about for today's solo pod. I want to talk about making mistakes because that's a big topic, I think, in today's world. I think, and there's a lot of people are afraid of making mistakes. Why? Because maybe I think it's from fear of failure. It's probably from I don't know making uh I don't know maybe embarrass their parents. I don't know because there's a lot of things to be afraid of making mistakes if it's on stage or something like maybe like this. This is uncomfortable, to do. Um, because we all make mistakes. We all have fears. We all have this and that about whatever we have in life. So, and there's some fear. There's some good fear in it. Not everything in life, but this is more about talking about mistakes. And I think that most people are afraid to make mistakes, and I think they're afraid to embarrass their family, their friends, maybe their spouse or something. And I it's like as I was thinking about it earlier before I sort of recorded this pod, I was thinking it's like like many parents protect their kids from not making mistakes because um they're so afraid to like somehow they're gonna like trip or they're gonna do this or something. Their parents today are so afraid to let their kids make mistakes. And I just don't think that's a good way to tell a child. Like, don't make mistakes. Oh, don't let them make mistakes. Well, they have to make mistakes because if they want to grow, they're going to have to make mistakes, like myself. And it's like, I'm not a parent, but like, as I look at that, when I think about it, it's like, you got to like, let your kids make mistakes, you know? And it's just like, I don't understand why. I think part of it, I'm guessing, is fear of failure, fear of, you know, I don't know, embarrassing yourself in front of other people because the truth is, nobody's even like looking at you when you're making a mistake. Maybe one or two, maybe, but it's like we need to stop like thinking what others think when it comes to making mistakes. And I don't understand why we've been conditioned to like if we make mistakes, things will never be the same. Maybe they do some things, but not everything. Um, I just think that it's just like we have to make mistakes in order to get through life, to succeed in life, whatever that thing is. If it's a podcast, or a speaking stage, or maybe doing, um, I don't know, acting or something, or whatever you're doing is that you've never done before. You're afraid to make a mistake. You gotta just do it anyway because mistakes are mistakes. Mistakes are mistakes. This is part of life, and there's some people who are good at it because it helps you prepare for it. I think, and I think that fear, fear and mistakes are part of learning. It's not about just like fear. It's like no. It's just I think that I think mistakes are a thing that helps you grow. I think it helps you really grow to become the person you want to become. And I think many parents and many people and many businesses and other things are so afraid to make mistakes and let their own kid make mistakes or anything. And I don't think that's the way we should do it. I think we should just let the young people and everybody else make mistakes. They gotta learn how to make mistakes. And eventually, you gotta fix it, of course, but you gotta let them make mistakes because they're afraid to somehow make mistakes. For me personally, I was afraid to. All this was many years ago. I think I was about 11 or 10 years old, or maybe 9. I was afraid to jump in the pool, and I was afraid. I was afraid to make a mistake or something, and I jumped in, and I'd succeed. And um, I was afraid to ride a bike. I thought I was gonna fall. I thought I was gonna embarrass myself in front of everybody. But turns out I, learned how to ride the bike, and there's some mistakes, and all along with that, eventually I got good at it. Because mistakes are part of the process. And I think many people are so afraid. Somehow they're attached to, like, they don't want their kid or their little Johnny, their little Billy, their little Bella, or something to, like, don't do that. Oh, we want to protect them. It's like, no, that's not how it works for anybody, for any profession, anything in life, or any stage, I guess, of life. Young, old, whatever. It doesn't really matter because mistakes are part of the process of life. If you want to be a good golfer, you're gonna have to make mistakes, and you're gonna miss a lot of shots. That's just part of the process. And like this, mistakes. I'm doing this podcast right now. It's my first time recording. Um, I'm going to make mistakes on maybe say some things I probably shouldn't say. There's some things I could have done differently, but that's life. You make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you ignore your fears or you ignore certain things, but just you got to make mistakes. And you got to let people make mistakes. You got to let them be themselves. Let them be themselves. It's like I don't really understand why some people are so afraid. I think part of it is a conditioning, because I will get to that in another episode for why we're so conditioned to do certain things or not certain things. That'll get in another episode or another time for the subconscious and all that. Why we do what we do. Um, but I want to start with the mistakes, and I guess the fear part. I guess because we all make mistakes, and we're so afraid. Let's say if you go on a date or something, you're gonna say something wrong to your spouse or something. And you're afraid you're gonna say the wrong thing. She's gonna or he's gonna, I don't know, throw water at you or something because you don't know. Because like the truth is, it's not going to happen anyway because it's in your head mostly. And there's some good fear. There's some there's some good part of that to prepare you for that thing, prepare you what you're going to do on that day or on that date or whatever. So it's just like you have to learn how to make mistakes, and it's not like you're wanting to like learn to make mistakes. It's not that you don't think about it. I mean, you're not gonna make mistakes. You just don't know when. When you do, it's like, okay, okay, it's on me. It's not on everybody, but it's part of life. It's part of the process, and it's part of the journey, of course, or whatever journey it is. Marriage, business, relationships. I don't know, and I think mistakes are part of the process. I really do, and I think that many parents are so afraid to let their little kids make mistakes, or even like ones in their early teens or something. They're so, oh, don't do this. It's like, well, they're gonna have to make mistakes eventually. I mean, think about it. You know, it's like think about when they're about, I don't know, 10 minutes old or something. Start how to learn how to walk. Because were they good at it first? Absolutely not. Did they fall? Of course they did. But did the child get better by keep on getting up from walking and getting up? Of course. And that's just part of the process. Mistakes are for the process of learning, of growing, of getting better for each, whatever it is, if it's cells or anything like that. And it doesn't have to be just all rocket science. And I think people need to be more say, okay, I'm going to make mistakes, and this is part of the process. Whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to get to my goal because I'm going to reach that goal that I've never done before. I'm going to make mistakes, and that's okay. There's certain people are so afraid and are so afraid what others think, and they're not even thinking about you. Like, what's the point of what's the point of worrying about what other people think? And I think that's silly if you really think about it. And it's just like I think it's just silly to think what others think, and I'm guilty of this as well. Because I'm so afraid. What does she think? What does he think? What does little or whatever? What does Billy think next to her or something? Because the truth is, they're not even thinking about you. I mean, think about it. Now it's kind of sounds maybe silly to say, but it's like it's true. I mean, it's part of the process. I mean, it's just life, and so many parents and I guess business owners as well or whatever, they're so afraid to don't make mistakes, don't make mistakes. It's like, I think you have to make mistakes to get through this life. And And there's certain people who are so afraid and they try to control their child with every step of their life. You gotta make mistakes. That's just part of the process. And mistakes are learning. They're part of the process. Sure, you're gonna fail. You're gonna be afraid, but you'll get past that. You'll learn, and it'll not be. You know, it won't be. You won't fear. You won't fear making a mistake. Making the excuse me, the mistakes. Excuse me for my words. It's my first time doing this podcast. Part I'm gonna. Mr. Beast said one time, "Your first video, you're gonna suck," and he's right. I guess I'm kind of sucking, but that's okay. But no, my point is, um, you just it's just part of the process. Parents are so afraid to let their kid like, oh, I don't want little Johnny to do this, or they're gonna fall or something. It's like, well, they're gonna fail eventually. They're gonna make mistakes. That's part of life, and you gotta let them. You know, like many teams and many businesses. It's like I watch. Let's take like I don't know, like the Green Bay Packers, because they got a like. I think they got a really good team. Their coach is really good. They got really good players, really good. I think they do better than any team. I think, and their coach just lets Jordan Love fail, like third interceptions and all that shit. Just lets him. He just doesn't seem to. If he makes a mistake, the coach doesn't seem to like. Okay, he's gonna make it. He knows that. Eventually, you have to clean up and kind of talk to him, of course, about it. But it's just mistakes. And mistakes and facing the fear is part of the process. And it's just part of it's part of the process. And I think it's part of the process. I think you gotta learn how to go through the, the mistakes and growth and all that stuff. So I think you have to go through that. And you know, including myself, do I get afraid of making mistakes? Sure. But do I hold myself back as I used to? Of course not. Do I make mistakes, say certain things, or done certain things I could have differently? Of course, yes. But that's life. That's in the past. I mean, you gotta make mistakes. And mistakes are for learning. It's just part of the process. And um, so I hope you learned from this pod for my first time doing a solo episode, because I guess I did pretty good, I think, but from talking about mistakes for a solo episode, and um, so I hope you learned something from it. That's all I can tell you. Just you know, really learning from your mistakes, like I'm doing right now. Hopefully, I learn from this, and I think I will, because it takes time. You'll realize it sooner or later. So it's part of the process, and make sure everything's on. Um, so it's part of the process. Mistakes are part of the process. Like this, I'm gonna learn from this. I'm gonna learn from doing whatever. If it's production, editing, for making mistakes. Because I heard a podcast. Just do not gonna to excuse me. Sorry, my words. I'm gonna get better. Forgive me, but I think I heard Jed Shetty says, "No, don't be afraid of doing the podcast. If you're gonna be like, you're gonna make mistakes anyways. Something to that natural. If you're afraid, then do it, or something like that." Because I'm mispronouncing is what he said. Because I heard him say that on a podcast a while ago today. Listen to it. It was pretty interesting. He named all the lists that the things, the fears, like there's no certain time. There's no such thing as the right time. He's right. I have to listen again to you know. But anyways, um, yeah. So that's just mistakes I'm learning from it right now. Um, so I'll get better from it as well. I mean, I'm talking to one person or listening either way, and I'll be learning from this, and I'll do the next better job in the next one and the next one. This is part of the process, and it just takes consistency and discipline. We think of discipline as a punishment. It's really not. And discipline is give you something to a command that you do something, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're afraid to, oh, don't make mistakes. You gotta do it anyway. If you don't feel yourself sometimes, you just gotta do it anyway because you'll think yourself afterwards. Trust me. And yeah, that's it's, mistakes are for learning. You gotta face the fear. So you gotta really face it. So it's just part of the process. It's part of life, and I don't think most people don't really understand, and I don't think they even know how to get the process. So that's, and hopefully you will got some insights and some strategies, I guess, whatever it is. So that's all I can tell you. So, anyways, I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you got something from this episode today. Sorry for the fumbling words. This is my first time really recording this. I mean, I've done like prepping of other the pretend shows like I'm really recording, but this is this is really I'm really recording. So you'll be hearing this first part of 2025, and if you're listening to this, Happy New Year, and hope things are well for you. And I'm so grateful that you just tuned in, if watching or listening, and I'm so grateful you just tune in and leave a review and leave everything. You follow me on Instagram, and I'll catch you next episode, and it's time to do something great. Take care. Thank you.